Hi, this video is meant for anyone who's interested in taking the MCAT. I just took it this past summer of 2025 and scored a 524, which is in that 100th percentile. And I just wanted to share my whole study journey with everyone because along the way I tracked a lot of information that I think might be useful to you guys. So today we're going to go through that and I'm going to explain how I achieved the score that I did. Now, the million-dollar question for everyone as they start their MCAT journey is how to study, right? You can self-study, which is something that I looked into doing, or you can purchase a course. Now, the downside to the courses is they're usually very expensive, but they provide a lot of upside. So that was definitely the direction that I was interested in. And after looking at all my options, I decided to go with Prep 101. The reason I did this is because I attended a lot of Prep 101 free seminars and I thought the information was really good. And it's a Canadian company with a focus on cars. So that idea really attracted me to their prep course. And additionally, I really like this idea of being paired up with a coach, a personalized MCAT coach who would help me every step of the way. That way I had someone who has been through the whole process before, who I can ask questions to and get an answer pretty quickly. For me, I definitely didn't want all the guesswork that came with self-studying. I didn't want to waste any of my precious time deciding what I'm going to study for the day or being worried about, am I studying the right thing? Am I going to the right level of detail? I didn't want this to be taking up any space in my mind because I knew with the busy schedule that I had over the summer, where I was running a nonprofit organization, playing competitive baseball, and volunteering at a hospital, I just knew that I couldn't afford to be wasting my time fearing about what I'm studying. So I was definitely set on a prep course for that reason, and Prep 101 seemed like the best option to me, so I chose to study with them. So coming into the course, I wasn't actually sure what to expect. I knew that Prep 101 had a good reputation, and I knew that this was one of the most comprehensive prep courses in terms of all the resources and practice problems that they give you. But I wasn't sure how all these resources would come together to create an actual course. And I was really happy with the whole experience because I thought it was an incredibly comprehensive and cohesive course. The way it's structured is you have 3 classes a week, and each class is taught at different times by different instructors, so it really works with whatever schedule you have. And the other thing is there's a ton of practice and recall involved. So each class has practice problems within it that the teacher goes through to ensure that you know that you have a good grasp of the content that's being taught. And then afterwards, each class came with associated practice problems. And those practice problems were a fantastic way to really lock down that knowledge that you just learned. The only other resource that I used was a free Anki deck, and this Anki deck was separated by Kaplan chapters. And typically, each class that we learned was associated with 1 or 2 Kaplan chapters. So what I would do was after each class, after we learned a topic, I would uncover the associated Anki cards and then continuously clear those cards every single day. That way, I was really locking down the knowledge through active recall. So if I learned something in the first class during the summer, it was fresh on MCAT day and I understood it because I did the practice problems right as I learned it. And then I locked down that knowledge with Anki cards. So I think regardless of what route you take, definitely supplement with Anki. But overall, I believe that the prep course had all these avenues of learning, and that really helped me to gain a comprehensive knowledge going into the MCAT. Another small aspect to the course that I found to really be a lifesaver was the fact that all the classes were recorded. What this meant for me is that most of the topics that I was unfamiliar with, I would tend to watch the class live. That way, I could ask questions to the instructor right away if I had any. But I came from a biochemistry background. That's my undergrad. So some of the topics like biochemistry and organic chemistry, I had a very strong base in. So for these classes, I would just wait till the recordings were posted because for every single class, the recordings were posted in case you missed it. And I would put it on double speed just to expedite the studying a little bit better. And then that way, that extra time that I gain from double speeding it, I can use to do practice problems or to clear my Anki cards. So you could see it really made the studying experience very efficient. And it's something that, regardless of what my schedule was, I knew that the prep course would work in my schedule and it wouldn't be an issue. So that's something that took a lot of stress off of my plate all throughout the summer while I was studying. One piece of advice that I could offer to anyone studying for the MCAT, whether you're self-studying or taking a prep course, is to keep track of what you're doing. Every single day, I logged how many hours I did, how many CARS passages I did, what I studied, so I knew exactly what I was doing. What this did was it kept me super accountable to my studying routine because I could see all the data right there, and that allowed me to set goals. For example, if I wanted to study 20 hours in a week, I got it done. The reason I got it done was because I had to log that in my spreadsheet and I could see exactly how many hours I was studying. So this is something that you should definitely do because it holds yourself accountable. And unless you have a study buddy who's doing the exact same thing as you, you're going to be on your own accord a lot of the time, right? And you need to stay disciplined somehow. So I think that definitely worked for me, having and keeping track of all this data. So I think definitely find a system that works for you. And you don't have to record everything that I recorded, but definitely have some sort of schedule and keep track of all the hours that you're spending studying. Now, I have a lot of good information because I tracked a lot of my metrics. So I'm going to show you guys exactly what I kept track of and my score progression throughout my studying period. So what I have here is a super comprehensive document where I tracked everything that I did throughout my whole study journey. So here on the left-hand side, what you can see here is a schedule that my MCAT prep coach through Prep101 made for me. And this was super comprehensive and it was a foundation for all of my studying. You see that there's no guesswork here. Every single day, I knew exactly what I was going to be working on, which helped to provide a lot of structure to the whole experience. You can see here that with Prep 101, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or classes and readings and homework. So that was, I would call it the content intake phase of every single week. And then the back end of each week was for completing the homework associated with the classes and then doing a lot of practice. So I did a lot of full lengths. Almost every week I was doing a full length, which was something that I wanted to do myself because I wanted test day just to feel like any other day. And I wanted to feel like an expert on test day, which I did because I did so many full lengths where I had a routine and I could execute it because I just did it so many times, right? So that was something that really worked well for me. And once again, all of these full lengths were provided through Prep 101. So yeah, and then you can see closer to the end, I focused on the AAMC full lengths. Another thing that you can see is I spent a full day reviewing. That was really key, so I could really understand why I got everything wrong. Here on the right-hand side was something that I added. This is where I kept track of all the CARS passages that I would do, and then the hours studying each day. So you can see there's a lot of variation here, right? Like here on Mother's Day, I only studied 3/4 of an hour, right? The next day, 6.5 hours, right? But overall, I studied a lot. I studied 489 hours. So there's no magic here, right? Like this is hopefully very transparent for everyone. There's no magic way to achieve your dream score. You have to put in the work, and the biggest thing is having a system in place. You can also see I did 407 CARS passages, which is quite a lot. Another thing that I kept track of was my score progression. Here's a very transparent look at my score progression all throughout my studying journey. These are all my full lengths with the dates and the scores. All of this data is represented graphically down here. So the total score is the black line, right? And then each color corresponds to a different section. So red is your chemistry physics, cars is yellow, green is bio, and then blue is psych soc. A couple things that I wanted to point out here. The first is that you can see this increase is by no means linear. This is important because everyone's score progression is going to look a little bit different, but it's important to not get down on yourself when you see drops like, let's say this. This is a significant drop and it happened right before test day. This is totally normal. So it's important just to focus on what's in front of you and not what's behind you, because that can be very draining. The other thing is you can see I came in here at a 504. That's a good score, but it's in the 58th percentile, right? And then with all the work that I put in, I got myself up to 100th percentile, which was a 524. So no matter where you start, you can get to where you want to be with the right systems in place. So another thing that's very important to highlight is this CARS score right here. This is a 123 here and there, and then in between that is 124s. Those are relatively low scores, and I really was concerned when I had 4 or 5 full lengths in a row where I couldn't even crack a 125, which is the 50th percentile. But right here, I had a meeting with my prep coach from Prep101, and we just simply reorganized my studying and came up with a CARS strategy that worked better for me. And then I saw this huge increase, right? And my CARS score shot up and it pretty much stayed up the rest of the time. So it goes to show, you know, a low score, it might just mean that you have to reevaluate your studying. It doesn't mean that you're doomed and you're going to get a bad mark on the MCAT, because everyone goes through this. And you can see naturally CARS was my lower score right at the start. It's very rare that someone is going to be good or great in all 4 sections at the start. With that being said, I just wanted to take the time to wish everyone who is taking the MCAT, whether you're self-studying or taking a prep course, I wanted to wish everyone good luck. I think with the correct systems in place, anyone can really achieve the score that they want. And I wish the best of luck to everyone. Stay with it. There's definitely going to be some times where it's just not your day, and maybe you're getting a lot of questions wrong. You can't get the correct Anki cards, and there's definitely going to be ups and downs because it is such a long process, but definitely stick with it. And anyone who's interested in taking the Prep 101 course, I have a discount code for $500 off in the description of the video. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. And thanks for listening to me. I really appreciate it.